Hi everyone, so today I wanted to take a look through the Age of Empires full gameplay footage. So I grew up with Age of Empires, and while I'm really excited to be getting a new installment, which looks like a big upgrade to Age of Empires 2, which is my personal favourite, I do worry about exactly what it's going to turn out like. Obviously, the world graphics are really high quality, zoomed out like this, you can see at the start the unit looks very nice, and the devs have said that we will still be getting random maps generated for each game, so that's really good news. So we start seeing the English and Delhi Sultanate play in the Dark Age. I personally think the buildings look very good, even up close. I sadly can't really say the same for all of the units, they look a little bit cartoony up close, and it has been mentioned a lot in the media and the official forums, so much so I wonder if they're going to go back and rework some of the units. One of the things that stands out to me, looking quite bad right off the bat, are the arrows. And I think this was noticed by a lot of people, but the good news is they've already tightened this up a lot since this footage was taken many months ago, and while they think it's not perfect, it is a lot better than it was. Now regarding the building animations where the scaffolding goes up, and I've noted a few people complaining about this and how it looks unrealistic, a villager hitting the hammer on the ground to put up a castle is also pretty unrealistic. I think the scaffolding is actually quite a nice addition. It helps give more of a feeling of scale to the buildings with the multiple floors of scaffolding, and it's something nicer to look at. The ghosts are moving around on it, I could take or leave. They're not bad, they're not great. Now, as we progress, we see a battle between the scout and villagers, and then the spearmen come in. Now, this is where things look really cartoony zoomed in. The spearmen don't look good. And again, this battle involving the swordsman, it just doesn't look great. The swordsmen just look very clunky and cartoony. Not expecting total realism here, of course, but less cartoony would be preferable. Now, one very interesting addition which I understand comes from AoE 3, which I admittedly didn't play a huge amount, is that progressing to the next stage comes from building certain buildings or wonders, and this applies to all the factions according to the developers in interviews, and the choice of building will give different bonuses. For example, if you are military oriented, you would pick one over another. As you can see, they finished the building or this church cathedral here, all the buildings around it upgrade to, and what bonus that building gives is unclear, but perhaps it's religious or a citizen bonus rather than military perhaps. Then we're over to the Mongols and Chinese for the Feudal Age. Very interesting town building style for the Mongols, true to their history, they're all tent based, and their entire town can be moved around the map, making it easier to move to and protect additional static resources. I doubt very much this continues into the late game looking at the rest of this footage, but at least at the start this is the case. We get to see a lot more military units here. Frankly, even up close some of them do look a lot better than the previous ones we saw earlier in the video. I also like how they're showing off the line of sight and fog of war mechanic here. Perhaps it's going to play more of a role than previous AoE games. I have to admit, the arrows are still driving me bonkers during these fights. They look massive, especially the ones from buildings, and the way they suddenly jump to a different flight path before hitting their target is really distracting. But we're back to the Delhi Sultanate and the English for the Castle Age. It's really nice to see some siege units here, and the walls adorned with archers. This is a welcome addition to the AoE franchise. I assume they get some bonuses for being up there. However, there's some stuttering on the footage here, suggesting a drop in frame rate. Hopefully this is just an early build issue. I also love the war elephants here in the siege towers. The building destruction is also very appealing, something that has also looked very good in the AoE 2 Definitive Edition. So as we get to the end of this section again, I'm quite enjoying seeing the upgrade to the Imperial Age as it spreads out from this building. I do wonder if it'll stay like this in the final version of the game, because in previous games it was just an instant conversion rather than spreading out like a wave. Perhaps this is a good time to add in as well that the devs are planning to continue the tradition with AoE 4 of having a rock, paper, scissors style approach, where there will be definitive outcomes for unit versus unit battles, as in numbers versus numbers rather than random dice rolls that you'll see in some other games. Though variety of each of the factions will change how you play them and how that rock, paper, scissors mechanic works. And now we're back to the Chinese and Mongols for the final age, the Imperial Age, getting to see a lot more units up close, showing off the variety each side has. Obviously you can see the archers, the hand cannoneers, lots of spears for this faction. You can see all of the horses with spears, and as we move through you can see some rocket artillery, some other cannons perhaps, so they're all packed up. And then we can see the big forces coming in with those packed up siege weapons rolling in the background. Some formations and military units here as well, which is nice to see again. They haven't lost the formation element. I wonder if we're seeing some bonuses given to the troops from that hero unit, perhaps? I'm concerned if there's hero units, but we'll see. It might be different if it's a campaign. And then we've got this big final battle. Those units are kneeling down to provide a wall of spears against the horses, so that's pretty cool that they've added that. That feels like a Total War edition. And you've got lots of rockets and things flying about. It does feel epic in some ways, and there's that unit doing that bonus again, so I wonder if that's to bolster your troops' defenses or their attack. And there's our artillery pieces coming in and assembling, and the animation on those trebuchets is fantastic. I really like that. And then for the closing scenes, we get this montage of various factions battling each other across various games, and one of the final moments we get to see a priest or a monk of some kind convert a huge area of units, possibly using the relic that appears to be on the ground in the middle. They're aiming for various victory conditions and encouraging people to move out from their main base, so there'll be conquest where you have to destroy enemy landmarks, or capturing sacred sites on the map, which that could be what he stood at to do that conversion. But they're also going to ensure that people can still turtle, feel safe in their base and build up, so the more casual players aren't left behind, and they're not just catering to competitive players who will be on the attack constantly. And this will link into the various factions to some extent, as some will have better early game defense compared to attack, and vice versa. That certainly brings us to the end of this video. What do you guys think about AoE 4? What are your hopes for this game? What do you think is going to go well? What do you think is going to go badly? Are you happy with how the graphics look now? I'd really love to know what you guys all think, so please do post down in the comments below, and obviously I will bring any further news to the channel when I get it. Other than that, I hope you all have a great week. Thanks very much for watching. As always, please do like, share and subscribe, and I'll see you all for another video soon.